Special episode, talking guava tree. Every episode's special. Shout out to the guava tree. Probably the easiest tree to grow in Central America because the birds are already dropping their seeds and they're sprouting everywhere. Hang out to the end and watch me eat one. No, none of these are ripe. But learn all the medicinal values of this amazing freaking tree. Thank you, baby. All right, right here, this is a probably 2-year-old guava, right? It's been, I say 2 because it's had its chance. I believe this branch right here used to belong to him and was snapped off. These things don't die. Once they're established at the roots, they are there for good. So these guavas, they grow like weeds out here, all right? This guy right here, I didn't plant him. Most of these I haven't planted. What's happening is that when they make their fruits, the birds devour them. All right, the trees get really tall, and they grow in mid-canopy, low canopy, and the birds and the insects and the other bugs, they'll get to them first. And as that happens, their seeds are so big and undigestible that they'll drop them and they become the next generation of guavas. Now, the thing is, out here, especially in Nicaragua, the locals, they know the species, it's the montero, and it makes these teeny guavas, and they don't taste that good, and they just call it bird food. Right, and one of the distinguishing factors of that is that their branches are, the young ones, if you can kind of make the contrast, they are pink, all right? So that pink sign, you know, and it's not a very telling sign for me, but I mean, I'll show you one right here, and it's even got smaller leaves. So this one to me is potentially a montero. And I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with them. In fact, I think that some of their fruits, they taste good, but they get really big. And you might have seen in the intro that after 4 years, the trunks are already substantial. So, you know, by that time, they're getting really tall. I'm a big fan of guava. I love their fruits. The leaves out of the guava trees are incredibly medicinal, especially when it comes to women's health. It's pretty much my go-to when people ask me for advice when it comes to menstrual cycles or whatever else is related to women's health. I lead them to the guava leaf. The tea from this leaf, brewed just the way you would brew a tea, has some really beneficial properties that I don't necessarily need to go into, but for the ladies out there, if it's something that you need, definitely look into the guava leaf. And if you're growing in the subtropics, there's no reason why you shouldn't have this. Now, the only challenge that I could suggest you might have is the fact that, well, if you plant a guava tree and you have workers that come by and they're chopping, they might mistake it for the montero. So obviously mark your guava. This guy right here, so 2 things. He's in a particularly windy area, so he's pretty short. And second, I think he's just been whacked down to bare bones many times. But they persist. They persist remarkably well. So I remember when I was learning about guava trees, the locals, they would always tell me that the size of the leaf determines if it's a good one. As in, the smaller leaf tends to be the montero, while the larger leaves are, what they're used to is the large green guava. By the way, there are tens of dozens, hundreds of types of guava from around the world. And obviously the ones that are most popular in the region, those would be the ones that everyone knows. But what I was excited about was introducing some of the strawberry guavas, the lemon guavas. And then obviously, yes, there is that large green one. But in my first year, I planted like 10, 20 of them. And they continued to get chopped down because they looked and had all the characteristics of the montero guava. So that's having the pinkish leaves, the pink branch, the new branches, and then the smaller leaves. But I'm not too sure if the smaller leaves are a challenge. What I do know is this guava is about 4 years old, the same as the other one, and it's not grown that much. So definitely depends on a lot of sun input and whatever other natural inputs. The puppy's got an avocado that we're walking around and picking up. This is the sweetest time of year to be around some guava trees. It's just about right now when the rains start, when they hit their cycle, they will begin flowering. And wow, if you have ever smelled a more fragrant flower, walking past a guava in bloom is intoxicating. And another reason why people love this tree. I have talked about this as well, and this is back to my boundary planting guide. So as we want to create natural corridors and perimeters, a really great tree to include in that is the guava. So for its fast-growing nature and, well, it's incredibly tough wood. So I learned that guava is a part of the eucalyptus family. And if you haven't seen a guava tree, it's got some really cool characteristics. So kind of like the rainbow eucalyptus, its bark will shed, and every layer it sheds, it creates this new tone. And beyond the fact that the bark is beautiful, it's very tough, right? Being that it grows so fast, it needs to withstand a lot of the pressures that come in the tropics. And therefore its wood quality is also known. Now, not saying that people are making tablets out of this wood, but if you cut a guava branch or a tree trunk, and sometimes you kind of have to do that. So once it gets too big, or it creates a lot of lateral branches, right? Or sometimes it even does a sway and you want a pioneering or a predominant, upright growing branch, then you're going to cut that other one off. And this wood, it's not only cool looking for carving and for, whatever other woodcraft you want to make. Nice. As we reach the end of our guava tour on just about all the guava that are in this Zone 1 area, I want to leave you with the medicinal benefits. So the fruit is obviously delicious and has all of its benefits, but it's the leaf that has been medicinally and traditionally used in the past. So one of the big things is its anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. So I mentioned women's health. This leaf is known to aid in digestion, so the tea itself is really good for just helping settle the stomach and, in that, a lot of the sacral chakra. So for the ladies, again, this is a big one. So I have this natural swimming pool, it's a hot tub inside this cabin, and I wanted to grow a tree inside the cabin, but that wasn't structurally advised. So instead, I built this sort of window that allows the guava leaf to enter. And what's lovely is that being it's a hot tub, and honestly kind of like a birthing tub, having used a bunch of these natural stones that were already there, and one that just screamed like somebody had given birth on it in the past. The guava branches are coming inside, and as they fall, they kind of help brew and simmer inside the tea. So just another beautiful homage to the guava tree. For all of its majesty, this will be one of those resilient species that you plant in your forest and continue to plant and get to eat and enjoy. Just remember that the seeds can break your teeth. So tread carefully. Don't crush, just swallow them, and maybe that'll plant the next tree.